Waheguru Khalsa, Waheguru Fateh. My name is Gursant Singh, and I have some updates on the letters from Satpal Singh, who is supposed to be the liaison between the Sikhs in America and the Akal Takhat Jathedar. Now, as many of you may know, I've been criticizing some of the un-Sikh-like violations of the Sikh Maryada that Yogi Bhajan's tantric yoga group has been engaged in. I was with them for 30 years. So I want to first point out how this Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji conference at the San Jose Gurdwara on the 19th of September will be an excellent time for all Sikhs to meet and to ask questions of the SikhNet people who are part of the Yogi Bhajan group. Now, SikhNet is controlled and operated and run by the Yogi Bhajan organizations. It's all funded by the Yogi Bhajan yoga programs and Yogi Teas and other funding source for SikhNet. So the chairman of SikhNet will be there. Gurmustich Singh, who's one of the directors and founder of SikhNet, will be at this conference. Again, this is on the 19th of September at the San Jose Gurdwara. You can see the address and phone number here. It starts at 8 a.m. in the morning. And you can see up there at the top that it's sponsored by Charity Foundation, Sikh Gurdwara San Jose, and SikhNet. So this would be an important place where all Sikhs can come and ask these questions of the SikhNet people, which they have really avoided. And I want to show you here some reasons why I say that SikhNet and the Yogi Bhajan people have completely avoided these questions. Now, you'll see here how Satpal Singh, who, again, like I said, is liaison between the Akal Takhat Jathedar and the Sikhs in America, he's the son-in-law of Yogi Bhajan. And I've actually known him for 30-some years. You can see him here. He was here in July with the Akal Takhat Jathedar. Right here, I'm not sure if it was Yuba City, but he says Northern California. He says, in Northern California with Jathedar, City Akal Takhat Sahib. So they were right next door where I live. I mean, probably just a few miles away. But yet, Satpal Singh did not call me, and after we had been communicating for quite a while, over 2 years ago, we started to communicate about this problem with the 3HO people and some of the un-Sikh-like practices that they're engaged in. But Satpal refused to call me. Now I want to show you a history of the letters here. Satpal, I first wrote Satpal, this was in September, actually just 2 years ago. I had originally wrote Satpal and started to tell him about these problems that I was observing that had been taking place in 3HO for 30-some years. And I talk about in my letters how this has been an ongoing problem. Many violations of the Sikh Maryada having to do with worships of Hindu gods and goddesses by the 3HO people who call themselves Sikhs. Here is the letter he first wrote me. This was on September 13th, 2013. And he says he was not aware of any direct dispute between the traditional Sikh community and the 3HO people. Well, I wrote a letter back and I said, thank you for your letter. It's pretty clear that there is a dispute, and there's a big difference between the traditional Sikh outlook and the 3HO people. So I tried to inform him about a lot of the un-Sikh-like practices that are happening there, the tantric yoga, the worship of idols, and how thousands of Sikhs are really concerned about this. After I was completely ostracized by the 3HO people in 2009 for my bringing up this issue with them directly, I started to reach out to the traditional Sikh community in India and in Punjab and all places throughout the world. So I became very familiar with how the Sikhs abroad and how the Sikhs, traditional Sikhs here in America, feel about 3HO. And so I wrote long, detailed letters to Satpal Singh about these problems there in 3HO and what I observed. But he at first said he would meet, and but then he said, well, he didn't respond actually after that. I told him he should study up on it and then we could meet. He proposed first to meet in October of 2013, but he never responded to my request to meet again. So then finally, Gurmukh, who is participating in a lot of these Hindu pujas there in India, she scheduled this puja there in her Hollywood yoga parking lot. And so I wrote Satpal, and you can see the letter that I wrote him about Gurmukh doing this. And I asked him, can you just talk to Gurmukh and have her stop this and tell her this is completely against Sikh Maryada and it's going to create a very bad image for the Sikhs. So Satpal never wrote me back on that. So now the latest is on September 15th, or sorry, September 5th, Satpal now has written this long letter to the 3HO Yogi Bhajan people saying that they need to start to conform with the Sikh Maryada. And then he blames me for spreading this, these, as he calls them, rumors about idol worship and all these Hindu practices. Calls it slander. These are all true. These worships of all these Hindu gods by the 3HO and Yogi Bhajan people. So it's clear to me that Satpal is trying to circumnavigate the situation and just not try to mediate this situation, which is really what we need to do. And so that's why I'm calling for all the Sikhs to come to this Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji conference on the 19th of San Jose Gurdwara. I don't know if Satpal will be there, but he might. And even if he's not, we can communicate our desires to have this change in 3HO happen through Gurmustik and also the Ekon Karkar. Now, Gurmustik has been not very cooperative, to say the least. He has threatened now to file lawsuits against any Sikhs who would, as he says here, libel is a serious thing, and your continuing to do might result in potential legal actions for defamation. So he's threatening to sue Sikhs for defamation. And this is not the correct way for somebody who's the leader there in SikhNet and one of the directors of the largest Sikh website to act. It's just completely irresponsible. So he's going to be there at this conference there, the Chair Law Foundation SikhNet sponsored conference. They've accepted my registration. I've written a comment on their page here, but they have not responded, and it's still waiting moderation. Now, just as a history for you all to realize what's happened here, on September 6th, which was the day, just the day after, evidently, Satpal had sent this letter out to all the 3HO people, and no doubt Gurmustik had seen it. I wrote a comment on the Bay Area Sikhs group discussion page on Facebook, where I told Gurmustik that I would be looking forward to responding or to asking him some critical questions about these un-Sikh-like practices that are happening there at SikhNet and at the Yogi Bhajan Ashram and the Dera, and how they're participating in a lot of these Hindu things, which they shouldn't be doing if they want to call themselves Sikhs. Let me make it clear that I have nothing against Hindus. They should be a good Hindus, but Sikhs should be good Sikhs. And if the 3HO people, the SikhNet people, want to call themselves Sikhs, and they want to use Singh, Kar, and Khalsa in their names, they need to start to follow the Sikh Maryada. And traditional Sikhs are very concerned that it's just getting worse and worse. So anyway, this long discussion went on this Bay Area Sikhs for about a day and a half. There were a lot of Sikhs that were involved in this discussion, not only myself, but many other Sikhs who came in and also voiced their great concern about all of these un-Sikh-like practices and how Yogi Bhajan had propagated this and taught all of these things. And so now the 3HO people are kind of following in his footsteps, in other words. So I also invited many of the 3HO people who were part of this Bay Area Sikhs. There was probably about 20 of them. And if you just pause this video, you can read a lot of these comments and see how I had invited many of these 3HO Sikhs that would have been probably defending Gurmastic, but the reality of it is none of them joined into the conversation. It was very, I call it eye-opening, that none of the Yogi Bhajan people that you would have thought would have been defending Gurmastic joined into the discussion. This was on 2 days, and I actually tagged all of these 3HO people, but none of them came. So Gurmastic accused us of ganging up on him, and he got angry and emotional about it, and then finally just said that he was going to delete this whole thing, because as his right as being one who posted this originally, if he just deletes his original post, and all of the comments, all of the hundreds of hours of work that concerned Sikhs went to post all of these arguments would just be deleted. I realized that at that point Gurmastic was going to delete this because he's done it in the past. And he just runs away from these discussions. They just post a few things and then they just delete them and run away. So that was his kind of his agenda back in the past, and I realized that. So I had taken the initiative to videotape the entire discussion. So like I said, you can stop this video, pause it, and then go through and read this entire discussion, which is very, very enlightening and shows just how emotional and how stuck in his ways Gurmastic is. So I have another video also which goes through this completely, maybe a little slower. So for those that have a difficult time to read through this discussion, I would suggest that you maybe go to those other videos that I made where it has the entire discussion there. So, so then this is the comment Gurmastic made. You can see it here. It says, not going to waste his time. And he was just going to not post anymore, he said, but he ended up deleting the entire post. So Pritam Singh from the Bay Area, he posted this, said that Gurmastic had now deleted and removed the critical posts and showing all of these un-Sikh-like practices. And then this is when Gurmastic posted this very disturbing and threatening comment that he was going to use all of SikhNet's power and influence and money and maybe file these defamation lawsuits. So it's very, very disturbing that Gurmastic would actually threaten Sikhs who are well-meaning and try to intimidate them with this threat about suing. They never will sue because they know that any lawsuit brought in the United States anyway will just bring all kinds of scrutiny on them through discovery. So it's just a bluff, and it's really a moot threat, which makes it even worse, actually, because all he's doing is trying to intimidate people to stop. And so he should remove this comment and apologize to Sikhs, I think. So anyway, again, the Gurdwara in San Jose is hosting this conference along with SikhNet, and I encourage all Sikhs to join Sikh brothers and sisters there, join the Sangat there, and to ask some critical questions there Gurmustic and Ekon Karkar, who, by the way, is the top philosophical writer for SikhNet. So here was a post that somebody had, funny thing, they'd shown about the great power of SikhNet. Anyway, so this shows how frustrated Sikhs are and how they see SikhNet as just an organization that is trying to use Sikhs and try to lie to Sikhs about this idol worship, because it's going on there. And you can see here pictures of this Siri Chand statue or idol or murti, whatever you want to call it, there at the Espanola Gurdwara. It's right there in this building here on the right. It's right attached to the SikhNet offices, which is very disturbing. And we need to call SikhNet on this and tell them that they need to stop this. You can see right here, that's where the SikhNet offices are, right there, and that Baba Siri Chand idol is right around the corner, attached to the same building. The Yogi Bhajan people put money offerings there at this. You can see here these money offerings. There's two of them there. This golden one and another bronze one that's around the corner. They bow to it and things like this. And if SikhNet really was against this, they would just remove those or petition to have them removed through 3HO people. But yet they continue to try to deny this and say there's no idol worship here. Here's what Garuka says here. I live in Espanola, and no one here worships idols in any way. This is a comment by Garuka Singh, who's another director over there at SikhNet, by the way. So, you know, we just need to get on SikhNet and get them to stand up for Sikh Maryada. I want to point out, talking about Garuka Singh, how he is really shown to be a worshiper of Yogi Bhajan. He keeps Yogi Bhajan's nail clippings, toenail clippings in his Nitnam Gutka Sahib, which is very disgraceful and just disgusting. You can read here the article that he wrote and was posted on the 3HO website about how he kept these Yogi Bhajan fingernails that Yogi Bhajan kept, and Yogi Bhajan said, "They will give you a lot of power," is the exact quote he said, Yogi Bhajan. So Garuka is really into all this worship of Yogi Bhajan as well. And they deny all this, and you can see here many pictures that I have gathered about Yogi Bhajan's false teachings and his all his tantric and kundalini yogas. And SikhNet just goes on about kind of almost like bribing young Sikhs with their SikhNet film festival and getting young Sikhs into all of these un-Sikh-like practices. Now, I want to point out here how this affects things, because this was an interview at a TV station, and they talk about the Baba Siri Chand idol, and they equate it with 500 years of Sikh religion.
In India, 500 years ago.
So you can see the effect it has. The media thinks that this Baba Siri Chand idol is part of the Sikh religion. They put it there in that newscast. You can see Garuka Singh here with this Baba Siri Chand idol above his head there in the sut. And then another Baba Siri Singh idol they worship there at the Yogi Bhajan Dera constantly. And here's a picture with Yogi Bhajan too, right there. And you can see them here, and you can see the Siri Chand idol there, the golden one there in the background as well. So this goes on there at Espanola, and there's been no acknowledgement by SikhNet of it. And they do all of these Hindu pujas, Sanatana Kar and the board of directors there from SikhNet participate in all of these Hindu practices. Yogi Bhajan had a Hindu last rites there, Pramatna Kirtan, which SikhNet never has acknowledged. They publish articles about Gurmukh, and they never acknowledge these un-Sikh-like practices. I want to point out here how Yogi Bhajan was literally worshipped by these SikhNet people. And in fact, they are required as a legal agreement to follow Yogi Bhajan's teachings. You can read here how they have to follow the Sikh religion as taught by Yogi Bhajan. This is very disturbing, and we should definitely bring this up at the conference there, why they have signed on to this agreement. Thank you for your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.